Welcome back, everyone. This is Sam.
And I'm Sophie. Welcome to the show that discusses all the mysteries of the world
And the unsolved, paranormal, and conspiracies. This is Sinframundo. So, Sophie, how are you doing on this Monday night?
I'm doing well. In case you're wondering, yes, we're recording on a Monday night. But you'll be listening to this on Sunday.
Yeah, we literally just got off work and drove straight to the studio, so we're committed to this.
Thank you for joining us so you know how committed that we really are.
Today, we will be discussing
A range of topics.
Yeah, it's not going to be specific, so just get your favorite drink, sit down, and enjoy the podcast with us.
This time we won't be joining you on the drink. We'll be drinking water because we're responsible adults.
Yeah, we didn't bring the drink today. Just water.
We truly did not wink, sad face.
Today we will discuss some of the things regarding the Zodiac killer. Did you guys hear about the rumors of supposedly they found the person that could be the Zodiac killer?
It's just a theory that people believe Gary F. Post is the Zodiac killer. Do you believe it?
It's hard to say because of the source that released this news.
Fox News.
Boo.
I mean, if you guys know us personally, you already know where we probably lean and who benefits from the news from Fox News. It's the right.
When it was released, Sophie sent me a text message and I was genuinely shocked, and then I clicked on it and I saw, with more information, I saw the source, and then we were both talking about it. And she brought to my attention some theories. And
a disclaimer before we talk about this, that these are just theories and nothing has been verified. Even people claiming that Gary F. Post is the Zodiac killer, that is just a theory. Nothing has been confirmed by the FBI at all. This story obviously is a sensitive story because there were victims, and we want to give our respects to the victims and their families who still don't know the truth behind this case.
Yes, we want to give our respect to the families and anyone that was affected due to the Zodiac killings. All this information is just opinions and alleged and not yet confirmed. We'll get into some information regarding the Zodiac killer. In the late 60s and early 70s, the Zodiac killer terrorized the Northern California. He killed at least 5 people, which have been confirmed, but he claimed to have killed over 37.
And he taunted authorities over several years with letters and ciphers that left many people in the Bay Area living in fear.
Yeah, and getting into the timeline of when he first started his killings, on December 20th of 1968, around 9 p.m. near Vallejo, California, there was a 17-year-old boy by the name David Faraday and a 16-year-old girl by the name Betty Lou Jensen. They were hanging out in their car in a parking lot where the Zodiac killer approached them and shot them while they were sitting in their car.
That's the most infamous case, right?
That was the first case, and at the time they were not aware that it was a serial killer because, of course, it was the first murder. So it wasn't until the second one when they figured out that it was obviously a serial killer.
Did he leave anything behind?
So for the first one, he did not. I think the first one was just like his first experience, I'd say. Alleged. We don't know. Like he said, he killed over 37. So confirmed, we know this was his first one, but cannot be confirmed. We don't know if maybe he did kill people before the couple that I mentioned. So the next crime occurred on July 4th of 1969 around midnight, which was actually a few minutes away from the previous crime. The Zodiac killer approached a parked car with a flashlight, and he shot 22-year-old Darlene Ferrin and 19-year-old Michael Mageau before walking away and coming back to shoot them again. Both were still alive when they were found, but only Michael would survive. Michael was actually able to make out the face of the man who shot him. So that's when they first were able to receive some kind of identity.
Was he the one that provided the known sketch drawings?
He actually did give a description of the alleged serial killer. He said that he looked to be approximately 26 to 30 years old, stocky looking, maybe about 200 pounds or larger, and about 5'8", light brown curly hair and a large face. Within the hour the police received a phone call, someone called claiming to be the shooter, also claimed to be the shooter for the previous murders mentioned.
And did the police take that seriously?
Yeah, I mean, this was already like the second crime. It looked to be like two couples all the time, so they were trying to figure out if this was a serial killer, but not yet confirmed, you know. Usually serial killers leave like something out that symbolizes them, but the first two murders, he didn't leave anything that would say a serial killer.
I'm not sure if this is going to be mentioned later on, but wasn't there a point where they could have caught him, where the police came by him, but then instead they were looking for a black male, even though it was already specified that it was a white male?
Yeah, I'll get to that in just a little bit, which it is frustrating that happened. On August 1st of 1969, the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, the Vallejo Times Herald, they all received identical handwritten letters from someone claiming to be the killer. The letters revealed specific details about the murders to prove that the writer was the killer himself. The letters were signed with a distinctive mark, which is when the infamous mark of the Zodiac killer came to light, which was the circle with the cross.
The Zodiac killer is the one who gave himself the name, right? The Zodiac killer.
Yeah, he did. You can tell he really enjoyed the attention, even to a point where he provided them with different codes that he demanded them to publicize. And he said, if you guys do not publicize the ciphers, that he would continue with his killing. So the newspapers did as he requested, because obviously they didn't want to be considered
at fault.
Yeah, for more murders, which didn't stop him anyways. The Zodiac claimed that the crack codes would reveal his identity. And on August 4th, another letter was received that started with the phrase, "This is the Zodiac speaking." Marking the first, the killer marked himself as the Zodiac. So once the second letter came is when he
announced himself as the Zodiac killer.
Yeah. Do you have any theories as to why he would want to go with the Zodiac killer?
My assumption was because of the ciphers that he used. What about yourself?
I mean, I don't really know too much about the word Zodiac other than what people believe, like horoscopes and stuff like that. That's all, honestly, like, I think about, so I don't know shit about it. Maybe he was, like, into that shit.
I will say that over the weekend, my friend who's a Pisces told me that he was a Pisces. The Zodiac killer was a Pisces. So to all you Pisces out there, I'm not sure how you feel about that information.
Well, don't they say that supposedly Pisces are very emotional and sensitive and stuff like that?
Yes, they do say that.
Interesting.
Again, if you believe in astrology, you might find that heartbreaking or amusing in some way.
I don't really believe in astrology, but I like to read it. It's pretty interesting. I'm sorry to all you astrology fans. I don't judge you. But on August 8th of 1969, the code was cracked by a couple in Salinas, California. Now get ready for this, okay? This is what it read. I like killing because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all. To kill something gives me the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with a girl. Sorry, I had to laugh at the part. Like, literally, dude, why would he word it like that? Like,
that sounds like a guy that doesn't get his rocks off with
yeah,
girls.
definitely doesn't. Bro, I don't care what time it was. That sounds really stupid. With a girl, but the best part of it is that when I die, I will be the reborn in paradise, and those I have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves afterlife. So he really believed that by him killing people, that he was collecting his slaves for the afterlife. Like, he really thought he was going to be some kind of king or something.
I mean, obviously we don't know this person, right? But I feel like even hearing that alone, I kind of believe that maybe He was just saying that to put out this persona. Because as far as we know, he was probably this average dude who didn't get his rocks off with girls.
Honestly, yeah, I feel like he was just... Dude, that's gonna be like the thing to say now, right?
Can we slander the Zodiac killer? Like, no one's
Hell
gonna get
yeah,
offended
like
by
we
that.
have no mercy for this guy. Whoever the fuck you are. Honestly, dude, I feel like he's generally like enjoyed doing this, obviously. And I think he was just trying, he was probably like a loner dude that felt like he was becoming famous, and he like thrived over this attention, and he wanted to seem like unusual and mysterious by sending these letters and like saying stuff like that. Like, if anything, you just sound dumb.
Yeah, he should have hired a ghostwriter.
Yeah, and then he has like hella run-on sentences, so. That was a big dig, huh?
Oh, God. Okay.
Okay, and on September 27th of 1969, in Napa, California, 22-year-old Cecilia and 20-year-old Brian Hartnell were having a nice picnic on the shore of Lake Berryessa, I believe that's what you pronounce it, when Cecilia saw a man hiding behind a nearby tree and staring at her. So, dude, if that was you, what would you do?
I would immediately tell the person I'm with, can we leave?
I don't really understand too much of what transpired between the time that he was staring at her, and if it was like within a millisecond that she saw that he was staring at her, and that's when he approached them, or if she had saw that he was staring at her and she just tried to ignore it.
I mean, they're on a date, so they're probably just, hey, let's make the most of this.
Yeah, probably thought, oh, it's just a weirdo or something, or who knows. But basically, after some time, the man came out from behind the tree wearing an execution-style hood over his head with the Zodiac killer symbol on his chest. He had a gun and a long knife and used pre-cut rope to tie up Cecilia and Brian before stabbing them repeatedly. So Cecilia unfortunately did not make it. She passed away, I believe it was on the way to the hospital, and Brian did survive, and he also was able to identify the Zodiac killer.
And did his description match that of the other victims?
Yeah, so he said, similar to what he said before, which is crazy to me because they were able to have identical opinions of what maybe his height was, which is 5'8". If I look at someone, it's hard for me to be like, okay, 5'8". I'd probably be like 5'5", 6". Both of them said 5'8".
That is interesting. I would definitely be bad at distinguishing someone's height.
Yeah, same here, dude. And he said 5'8", heavy set, weighing about 225 to 250, which the other guy previous before has said around 200 pounds or more. Dark brown hair. And after, Brian received a message which he found on the side of his car, which was the Zodiac killer's note. So even after he attempted to kill him, he left him a note. And basically the note had like the dates of the crimes, and then the words reading by knife written below the September 27th date. The last killing that we know about was Paul Stein. And basically he was a cab driver, and he was giving the Zodiac killer a ride when the Zodiac killer shot him, and a woman that was across the street heard the shooting, and two witnesses that were also, I believe it was in her apartment or house, I don't remember. All three of them got a good look at the Zodiac killer. So one of them called dispatch and described him as heavy-set looking man, white male with glasses. I guess with all the chaos, the dispatcher wrongfully identified him as an African-American man. And dude, that totally fucked everything.
My question is too, is how is that miscommunicated at all?
Honestly, I just don't see how it's possible. I don't.
It's just so wild in life how so many things just lead to racism.
Yeah.
This case could have been solved and then instantly solved, he could have gotten caught. But somehow he was identified as a black male instead of what he was, which was a white male.
And because of that, the cops actually, it was alleged that they saw a guy that fit the exact description of what the girl reported, but they didn't pay mind because he wasn't an African American man. So he literally like just walked by them. And which the Zodiac killer actually wrote a letter which he talked about that incident. So confirming that, like kind of like laughing at them like, dude, like you guys totally just missed me.
He threw it in their face pretty much. Like,
yeah.
You guys could have caught me, but you didn't.
So then he seized all forms of communication in 1974. There was a couple of people that were considered like suspects, and they were able to eliminate some of them because they took DNA test from a swab test from the saliva of an envelope that he used to send the letters. So they were able to eliminate some of the suspects. So what would you do if you were, like, let's say, in a parking lot with your boyfriend and a man approaches your guys' car, but your windows are, like, down?
I think because I've experienced it before where someone approaches our vehicle when we're parked somewhere, we roll down the window because we assume either they're going to ask for money or help. And I've been in that situation and we've rolled down the window, not fully, but kind of like, oh, hey, what's up? And they'll usually ask like, hey, do you know where this is? Or, hey, can I have some money? And we usually give them money. So I feel like we would have a very innocent assumption of someone approaching our vehicle.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens with a lot of people. Like, for example, like back in the day, it was like very common for people to hitchhike. And nowadays it's like, hell no. Well, at least here in California. I don't know, I can't speak for other states. But like, at least I am. I'm sketched about even ever doing that. But maybe in some other places it's normal. But back in the day, I know it was really common. That's why a lot of people went missing. Which is what happened a lot with, what's his name?
Like which serial killer? Ted Bundy?
There you go.
The thing is with Ted Bundy is that a lot of people described him as charming. And he was handsome, according to them. Right. So yeah, he probably had a face that you trusted.
Well, not only that, let's also mention that he wrote books about how to, for women, protect yourself, men, known as abusive and all that stuff. The most ironic thing. That's pretty scary because, like I said, a serial killer is not always the stereotype of what a serial killer looks like. There isn't a look.
No, there isn't. It could be, I mean, it's unfortunate to say, but if people can look at past stories of serial killers, sometimes they're an innocent neighbor or someone who just keeps to themselves and they're under the radar.
Right. Do you want to mention like maybe like an experience where you felt like you were in a situation where you feel like things could have gone wrong? Had you not acted fast or left the situation, like it could have progressed to maybe something crazy or wild?
Well, I have one experience with you. I remember it's probably sometime, it was either during high school or after high school where you and I, well, we had to wait in my car because I lived in a gated community at the time and I didn't have the gate opener. So it was late at night. It might have been like 10, 11 p.m.?
Oh, yeah, I remember this time. That was really scary. And
yeah.
That was pretty dangerous, like waiting outside the gate because...
And yeah, we're two young girls.
Yeah.
So we waited outside the gate. And on top of that, I remember my car at the time my windows were not tinted. So you could clearly see it's two girls in the car.
Right.
And some guy parked up behind us, which we didn't think anything of it because, gate opener, it happens. We're clearly there too. But then what made it strange is that I recall, which I don't know if you recall the same thing, two dudes walked out of the car and they had their lights really bright and they got off and were approaching our car. And I thought that was really strange. So I immediately turned on my car and like kind of drove off.
Mm-hmm.
And people could say, oh, maybe you're overreacting. But then they got back in their car and started following us. And I remember going through different twists and turns in the streets and they were still following us. And then I blew a red light, which made them stop following us.
Yeah, I remember perfectly. I have the visual of us sitting down, and then we see like big rusty truck, farm looking truck, and then we're like, damn, like their lights are super bright, and they were so bright that you couldn't even see the driver.
It was just silhouettes of men.
Yeah, and then out of nowhere, you see that the 2 doors open and 2 big, stocky-looking men getting out of the truck. And like Sophie said, like at first you probably say if one came out, like okay, they're probably trying to ask if we have the gate open or something. And then like 2 guys just came out like they had a plan. And then that's when we were confused. And then when they started getting closer to their cars, when Sophie took action, she was like drifting.
It was Fast and Furious in that bitch.
And I'll tell you what, they got in their truck with the quickness and they were following us like scary as hell.
And they were hauling ass. And I'm telling you, I was going through different twists and turns. And when I blew the red light, that's when they stopped.
I don't know if you guys ever watched the movie like Jeepers Creepers, that big black truck when he's like hauling ass. That's literally how they were fucking driving.
Yeah, and that's just an example of creepy experiences. I just thought of another creepy experience with you. When we were in high school and we had to walk home.
The bowling alley?
Yes.
Oh my God, dude. That one, I swear to God, I told myself, man, Mom, I'm listening to you forever. Like, I already... like, I swear, if you just let me get home, like, I swear I'm going to listen to my mom. That was... Dude, I was sweating the whole time. I was sweating. That's how scared I was.
Yeah, so... We went to the bowling alley with our friends. It was a good night. But we only had a ride there, not back home.
Wait, can I throw a little mention?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
I'm not going to disclose names, but low-key, fuck you guys. That was fucked
Honestly.
up. There's 2 guys.
And not only that, but also fuck your parents. Because also, can I also say this? Palmdale is a small town on the east side, right?
Yeah.
What does it take you to drive 2 people home literally not that far from where you live?
Especially like 2 young females, dude. Like if something had happened to us, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't feel right knowing that I could have taken him home. Especially what happened to us that night. It wasn't like nothing actually happened to us, but
it was still pretty traumatic in some ways.
It was super traumatic. But I'll let you continue with the story.
So, we go to the bowling alley with our friends. You know, it was 2 guys. Nothing romantic. We were just homies.
Yeah, they were the homies.
They were. No. Keyword. They were.
They were the homies, but I don't know. They were the homies after this walk.
So, we go to the bowling alley. Good time. Hidden strikes everywhere.
Nah, I fucking suck at bowling, but yeah.
Honestly, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure we did well. Just for the sake of the story, we're hitting strikes. It's a great night.
Hell yeah.
And then our friends are like, okay, guys, like, we're going to go home now. And we asked them, hey, is it cool that we get a ride home? You don't even have to drop us off individually. She can get dropped off at my house because we live close by.
Yeah, and I think I was going to sleep over, so it worked out anyways.
Yeah. And our friend's like, yeah, let me ask my mom. And then he goes to his mom. Mind you, this mother was giving one of the other boys a ride home.
Yeah, she was. And actually, I'll retract that. I don't know if I'll say fuck you guys, because honestly, we were young at the time. Maybe it wasn't their decision. It was their mom's decision.
Yeah, so it wasn't their fault.
It was like an awkward situation for them. Like,
but honestly, fuck your mom. No, I'm kidding.
Well, honestly, yeah, low-key, like, that was fucked up, dude.
I get it. I mean, to an extent, it probably is a pain in the ass to drive kids home.
But, like, dude, be a good adult. Like,
yeah, and
look out for other kids.
At the same time, too, listen, yes, we were young. We probably should have, solidified a ride home before even deciding to go out. But again, you're young. How old were we? We're probably like 15, 16 at this time.
Yeah, all we were thinking, like, let's just go to the bowling alley and have fun, and we'll figure out a ride back. But I think we had assumed that it wouldn't have been a problem if we had asked for a ride back.
Especially since we live near these people.
Yeah, like, it wasn't something we thought, like, would happen. So when it was, like, a shocker when we got that, like, you guys are on your own. Yeah. And keep in mind, me, I'm, like, a little, like, I'm not going to say I'm a goody two-shoes, but, like, I get scared about almost everything regarding, like, the law. I remember I was, like, freaking out, and I was like, dude, I can't get a curfew ticket. I had the bright idea because between Sophie and I, we were like, okay, let's go through the big streets. The big streets are safer.
Yes.
Or the neighborhoods. And me, being the person that I am, I was like, nope, I'm not risking a curfew. My mom's going to beat my ass. So then I was like, let's do neighborhoods, which was the worst idea ever.
I remember we asked our friend, like, oh, can your mom take us? And he says, okay, yeah, let me ask her. And he comes back, no. She said no. Bye. And literally drives off.
Like, have you seen her forgot it's on YouTube or something. And it's like a guy, and he's just like putting a piece on. He just like disappears.
Yeah, it's
That was
that
literally
meme.
him.
It's that meme exactly. And so her and I look at each other like, well, guess we're walking. And so, you know, we're walking. It's late at night. And we come to a point where we're just like, hey, do you want to take the main streets because there's lights? Or do you want to go through the neighborhoods? And again, as Sam mentioned, we were afraid of getting a curfew ticket. Okay, fine, we're going to go through the neighborhoods. And, you know, we had some friends that lived, like, we were kind of familiar with this neighborhood specifically.
Yeah.
So we thought, we've been there before, it's fine. We've never walked through there before, but we should be fine. As soon as we step into a neighborhood, we're walking, there's a garage full of dudes being rowdy, whatever, but we're across the street. And I remember telling Sam, don't look at them, don't even acknowledge them, because once we do, they're going to say something. And then this guy goes, hey, and Sam, you know, innocently turns her head, and I'm like, no, why did you turn your head? And he's like, we're going to fucking you.
Yeah.
And he starts running to us. Obviously, okay, do we know if this guy's being serious or joking? Doesn't matter if someone's tell you that they're going to assault you.
Yeah.
And so we kind of like, you know, sped our walking.
No, dude, like, honestly, he was, like, getting a kick out of it. Because remember,
He thought it was funny.
I remember at one point, like, hearing his footsteps, like, towards closer to us, and then it would stop, like, messing
Taunting
with us.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, damn, dude, this is it. Palmdale Bowling Alley, like, this is the last thing I saw.
Obviously, he didn't actually physically do anything to us.
Yeah, he was just
messing with us. Then we go deeper into the neighborhood, and there's a school in this neighborhood. Tell me why there's no wind and there's swings set swinging. And we look at each other like, this is the worst.
I remember we were really, like, scared as fuck. We were, like, terrified, and we would just walk into this neighborhood. No wind. All you hear is, like, the squeakingness of, like, the swing going, like, making a creaking noise. And we're just, like, quiet as fuck. Even more scared now.
Yeah. And then Sam and I were just like, no, dude, in case someone tries to mess with us again, we need to find some sort of way to defend ourselves. And in front of someone's house, they had these old...
They had a dresser.
Old dressers out. So we pulled part of this dresser. I mean, mind you, it was trash. It was next to the trash can.
Yeah.
And they had nails, boards with nails. Okay, we're going to have to use this.
Yeah, we felt all tough with those. I remember I was carrying, like... you know the handle when you pull the drawer? I put my hand through there. Like, it was like a freaking... What do you call it?
Brass knuckles.
And then I had the spikes. And
I
was like, bro, we're
do.
safe now. This freaking dresser's gonna do the job.
And then as we get closer to my house, same thing. There's dudes outside in the garage being rowdy.
Yeah.
And at that time, at that age, I had bright red hair. Mm-hmm. And I remember this guy, and same thing, don't look at them, don't acknowledge them. This guy yells, hey, girl with the red hair, I want to pull your hair while I f*** you. Again, we're children. This is probably a grown man because they were drinking. And we just keep walking. I'm just like, this is the worst decision we've ever made.
Honestly, it felt like the longest walk ever. Who knows?
It felt like walking through hell.
Honestly,
imagine walking through
like,
hell is.
You know when I don't know, have you seen movies? There's like this person going like a hallway and they keep opening each door. It's like something even more scarier.
Something worse.
Yeah, that's how that walk felt. Like each step we took, every house was some creepy person just screaming, saying stuff at us. And I literally, generally, that was the night that I felt like I was not going to make it home.
I just remember, though, us not even being able to tell our parents because then they were going to get mad at us or throw it in our face. This is why you guys shouldn't go out.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we couldn't even like disclose to our parents what just happened. We couldn't even tell anybody because we would get in trouble. Even though, honestly, who's at fault in this story? Truly. People, the men that were threatening our safety.
But honestly, dude, that was just a scary experience. We laugh about it now only because we're the type of people, if we go through something
we have to
scary, we have to make some humor out of it. Just, you know, lighten it up or something.
But obviously it's not cool. Don't be a creep and don't yell things at little girls or women, or don't yell things at anybody on the street. Just leave people alone.
Yeah. I remember a strange... I'm sure I've told you this story before. When I worked at KFC, I used to walk home every night. We're talking about 10, 11 p.m. And then my dumbass would put earphones on top of that. I was like so oblivious to my surroundings. I was just like thinking like, nothing's ever going to happen to me, which thank God nothing ever happened to me. But that's just the way I would walk. I would put music on and I would just walk the whole time home. One time, I remember I was walking. I was walking from work and I was passing by this car the front headlight fell. Like, it fell right in front of my, like, shoe.
That's like something from, didn't a serial killer actually do that? Or am I thinking of something else?
I think there was one. I think, like, he would do something to the lady's tires.
He would act like his cars, like something was wrong with his tire. It was Ted Bundy.
That was him, yeah. That kind of gave me, like, the vibe of, like, Ted Bundy. Because it's, like, so random. Like, his headlight literally just popped off and fell right in front of my shoe. And me, being oblivious, was trying to be, like, nice and stuff. So I grabbed it. I went to his, like, door. And I was like, hey, your headlight fell off. Kind of, like, weirded out. But, like, okay, I'm not going to leave it there. So then he's like, oh, thank you. And then he grabs it. I continue to walk. And then he continues to follow me. And I was like, oh, hell no.
Like driving close to you as you're walking.
Yeah. I mean, he's, like, driving super slow and, like, trying to talk to me. And, like, super weird. I remember I was so scared because I was like, dude, it's, like, 10 at night. I'm by myself. But then the good thing, I was in the big street. You know that big street?
Close to the bridge?
Yeah. That one. And then this lady, Good Samaritan, she saw that. And she was, like, beeping at him to, like, push to keep
going, yeah.
And, like, he left.
Good.
That was, like, so weird. Like, his headlight literally just fell on my shoe.
No, yeah. I mean, where do we start on creepy stories?
Yeah, we could be here forever. But
because I already thought of two, but I'm not going to keep on adding on. But, I mean, all I will say is if you're a male, I guarantee you, if you ask any of your female friends, hey, do you have any stories where you felt scared or you were creeped out by a stranger? They have them. And it's not to say that men don't have stories either, because we've had guy friends too tell us really, and we were in high school as well. I'm not going to say his name. When we were in high school, we would always meet up at the park. That was like our hangout spot. Mm-hmm. And I remember one of our friends, middle of the day, maybe it was like 5 p.m. The sun is still out. And he's like, okay, guys, well, I'm going to go home. We're like, okay, bye. And then a few minutes later, he comes back really upset. And then we're just like, what happened? What happened? He's like, I was walking right now, and this guy offered me a ride, which I didn't think was anything weird. But I told him, no, I'm okay. And the guy was like, no, get in the car. And then he's like, you're really handsome. Get in the car. And he's like, get the hell away from me. And he kept following him. Same thing, following him as he's walking. And so he ran back to the park. Yeah. So there's just creeps out there creeping on everybody.
Everywhere. You just gotta stay safe and always be alert. Never get complacent, which I do sometimes. But Sophie thankfully bought me a pepper spray, and she bought me
a knife. You know, gotta
just you. So anybody out there is hearing, I have that on me.
Yeah, we keep that thing on us.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of creeps, let's get back into the Zodiac killer.
Yes, so some of you may have known or heard recently the news broke that the Case Breakers, which is a team of specialists, they're ex-journalists, ex-military, ex-policemen that get together, investigate unsolved cases. They claim to have cracked down on who really was the Zodiac killer. And according to them, again, this is all alleged and this is a theory. It has not been confirmed by FBI, but they believe it's Gary Post. How do you feel that this news has supposedly been broken by the Case Breakers?
I mean, there's been so many people that could have been the Zodiac killer. So at this point, to me, honestly, it's just another potential person. But yeah, I think they did say something about, like, there's a scar on his forehead that matched the Zodiac killer's scar.
Yes, that his scars and wrinkles match.
And that when the timelines of, like, his life and the Zodiac killer's matched, I guess when he moved, that the killings had stopped during that time that he moved.
Yeah, so there are commonalities. One of them, like, as you said, that's really distinct is the scar on his forehead. And before I get into the specifics of the Case Breakers, I will say that the people who broke this story is Fox News. You'll come to find there's a reason behind why I'm pointing this out. Anyway, going back to the Case Breakers, they want to push the FBI to test the DNA because they highly believe that it is Gary Post. The reason is because they've interviewed his neighbors, and the neighbors say that they also believe that he may have been the Zodiac killer. The main thing, as you said, was the scar on his forehead. Another reason is that he was the same size shoe as the Zodiac killer, that he also owned a pair of boots which matched the footprint that has been found, I believe, in some of the known cases of the Zodiac killer.
Right.
So that's like one of the two main things that they find damning evidence.
Right.
And another one of the investigators and the case breakers claim that they deciphered the cipher given by the Zodiac Killer, and it matches the name of Gary Post. Mind you, I cannot find that information, and that has not been published, but that's what they claim to have found in one of their investigations. But this hasn't been published to the public, so we can't even compare if that's true or not.
Right.
But they do claim that they've given all their information and that the FBI has been somewhat compliant with them. However, again, the FBI has stated recently that it's still an open case.
But that he's obviously passed away over 3 years ago, right?
The man that they believe, Gary Post, he passed away 3 years ago, so of course they can't interview him or anything. But his own family does believe that he may have been the Zodiac Killer.
Oh, that's the crazy thing, that his own family thinks that.
Yes, because a neighbor of Gary Post claims that Gary Post is very abusive to his wife, and that he would get upset about things, and that his own wife even described him as an awful person, and that this is what the neighbor claims. She says that she could never forgive herself for letting her husband get away with certain things. Again, she didn't expand on that. We can assume maybe she's referring to killings, or maybe even just the abuse that she faced.
Because obviously the Zodiac Killer ceased communication, I believe it was 1974. I wonder if he continued to kill, or if he was I'm just going to try to live a normal life.
I'm just going to retire from killing now.
Yeah, let me just get married and live a normal life and then forget that all this happened. Or if he continued to go on with his killings, but obviously didn't continue to leave letters or clues and stuff like that.
I will say that Gary Post left reviews on movies and albums.
Wait, it is similar to one of the letters that the Zodiac Killer sent out, that he left a review on The Exorcist. He sent a letter out. I think it was the last letter that he sent out.
Oh, that he claims
that he reviewed the he basically reviewed The Exorcist and gave it Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm curious as to what he said. Do you know what he said?
I think he had said something dude, man, if I could remember. I think he didn't like it, but it reminded me what you were mentioning right now, so maybe that could be a clue.
Yeah, that is kind of an interesting correlation. But yes, he left reviews on Katy Perry's album, and he was a huge fan of Katy Perry, Gary Post. And he was also he also reviewed Ted Bundy's film, and he said it was really bad.
So that kind of, I don't know if you consider that a clue, that the last letter that was received, he reviewed the Exorcist movie, and that this Gary guy is known to leave reviews too.
Yes, that is interesting. That's another clue.
Sounds like a Yelp guy.
True. And honestly, it gives me total Chris Dorner vibes. Do you know who that is?
No idea.
So
Enlighten me.
Chris Dorner was a ex-cop who went on a killing spree.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. But this one's messy.
Yeah, this one's very messy. In his manifesto, craziest manifesto I've ever read. One time, me and my coworker sat down and just were both reading it at the same time, and our gasps and our reactions were we were laughing, we were shocked.
I have to read
this.
But
he was reviewing actors and comedians and films in the middle of just randomly in the middle of his manifesto. It was the most insane thing. And so this guy, if Gary Post is him and the Zodiac Killer are reviewing movies in random letters, or this guy in his reviews,
did we just figure something out?
I know. If you're a huge reviewer, you're probably a serial killer.
No, but that's crazy. I have to read it, his manifesto.
No, honestly, you have to read it. It's insane.
Available online, just if I Google it? Okay.
It's insane.
If you guys are hearing this, you guys should definitely read it too.
Go read it, and you can come back and tell us what you think, because it's insane.
That's crazy.
Speaking of Chris Dorner, our audio engineer Corin has a story related to that.
Yeah, it was just a real quick story, but I wanted to share it with you guys. You mentioned that he was reviewing movies, and in his manifesto, which I've got pulled up right now, he mentions a couple of movies. For example, he says, "It's kind of sad that I won't be able to view and enjoy The Hangover 3. What an awesome trilogy. Todd Phillips, don't make any more hangovers after the third. It takes away from the originality of the foundation. Now, what I thought was interesting about that is that my brother works at Warner Brothers, and he was working on one of the Hangover movies. I guess it was Hangover 3, with the cast and the crew in there. And that director, Todd Phillips, the next day was like, why did he have to name me, like, by name? Like, you think it would be cool that they're mentioning the film and, like, praising it, and, you know, but
Yeah.
I guess they weren't too pleased about it. But I'm reading more about this letter, and he's got other stuff in here. Hillary Clinton, you'll make a hell of a president in 2016. Like, he's just, like, calling a lot of people out. It's really just, like, kind of a nonsensical, he's just talking about whatever's on his mind.
Yeah, it's definitely a strange manifesto. And he also professed like his love for Ellen, which obviously even today does not age well.
Yeah, like for sure during like if he was alive during this time, I don't think he'd be a fan of her.
Yeah, and you know what else? The very last paragraph here, Mr. Bill Cosby, you are a reasonable and talented man
Oh my god.
who has spoken the truth. Yeah.
Chris, if only you knew what was to come.
Ouch. Yep. Well, thanks for letting me share that, guys.
No, thank you for sharing
Corin.
it. It definitely adds to our own.
Yeah. Good information.
But yes, obviously we're jumping around a lot in this episode, but I hope you guys enjoy it. Going back, did you have any questions?
I'm still stuck on the manifesto. I'm like excited to read it. But yeah, go on.
Definitely read the manifesto. As weird as that sounds.
I think Corin's reading it right now.
It's insane. The
Yeah.
manifesto is insane. But yes, Zodiac Killer, or potentially Carrie Post, he reviewed a lot. Here's a review that he did for The Hunt for Ted Bundy. He rated it 1 star out of 10. And this is what he said. By Gary F. Post. Awful. Would give less than 1 star if I could. Ted Bundy is wildly overrated. So was he trying to say that he's completely underrated? If he is
low-key,
indeed.
he sounds like a hater.
Like he's like
he
my
didn't get a movie.
competition.
Well, yeah, he did get a movie actually.
But this is my competition. Like, why? There needs to be more Zodiac Killer movies.
Well, I wonder, did he ever make a review on the Zodiac Killer movie?
That's a good question. Which is kind of wild to think about. This means if Gary Post is the Zodiac Killer, that means he may have potentially watched his own films, and he was probably, I would never wear that shirt.
He's like, that's not true. That didn't happen.
Mark Ruffalo, who was actually in one of the Zodiac Killer films, he said this about supposedly Gary being the Zodiac Killer. He said, I've been down this road before. They made a movie about it. Maybe, maybe not. Every few years someone says they figured it out. Let's hope they've actually got the guy.
Well, let's hope so. Maybe that'll help the families, you know, that never got closure.
So there's actually someone who's been coined as a Zodiac expert.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who wrote the book Zodiac Killer, Just the Facts, Tom Voigt. And in his opinion, he thinks that Gary Post being the Zodiac Killer is completely bogus. He even said it's hot garbage.
What does hot garbage means?
I guess another way of putting it is the way that he also put it, bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't believe that Gary Post is the guy because, again, he's done so much research. And again, as you mentioned, there's been so many people who've supposedly been the Zodiac Killer. Now, some people might be asking, then why is the story being pushed out if it's just a theory?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, dude, there have been so many people that have been suspected to be the Zodiac Killer. What's so different about this guy? Okay, so also throwing out there a weird coincidence. This wasn't done on purpose, okay? The Zodiac Killer's last kill was on October 11th of 1969. We're actually filming this on October 11th.
Very creepy. And I'm a fan of synchronicity, but I am not a fan of the synchronicity at all.
Yeah, me either.
Very
Odd
creepy.
coincidence.
So a lot of people are wondering why is this being pushed out if it hasn't even been confirmed by the FBI? And even the FBI put out a statement saying that the case is still open, even though an independent group of people has claimed to ID the killer. And there's a conspiracy around it. Another thing you guys may have heard recently is the Facebook whistleblower.
Yes, we all remember that day when social media wasn't available for a couple hours.
Oh, yeah, which is, okay, another conspiracy on top of a conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
Frances Hogan was set to speak in front of Congress on October 5th, I believe it was,
And when did the shutdown happen?
a day before.
October 4th.
Some of you experienced it, as she mentioned. On October 4th, Facebook was shut down to 5-6 hours, which it was strange timing because Frances Hogan, who's a Facebook whistleblower, was set to talk to Congress on October 5th.
What was she going there to talk about?
She was whistleblowing essentially that Facebook does not have the whole fake news or spreading false information on hold as they claim to.
Mm-hmm. And she worked for them, of course.
Yes, she's a former Facebook product manager and was the manager for the company's civic misinformation team.
Mm-hmm.
She was hired in 2019 to essentially analyze and see how they can prevent fake news and misinformation being spread on the internet.
Right.
But a year after she was hired, they dissolved that team. They thought, well, we got through the election season. We don't need this team anymore, which she found to be really concerning because it was clear to her on her end that they were very much needed because look what happened during the insurrection on January 6th.
Right.
And again, that all ties into misinformation that's being spread on Facebook. Yes, extremists do use other platforms.
But it's mainly Facebook. That's where you mostly hear all this misinformation.
Exactly. So the reason why she took the job in the first place is because she actually lost a friend to misinformation. And she said it was really painful at her to lose a friend, to see them go down this rabbit hole of fake news and misinformation that happened on Facebook. So she thought, I'm going to take this job and take this role so I can help.
She's doing a favor for everybody, you know, like you got to fact check everything and try to make sure that all the information that, you know, a lot of people, Facebook is a big platform, especially for like the older generations too.
Yes.
Which are more prone to fall victims of misinformation. So I think what she was doing was really good.
Yes, because also they claimed that it was just for the election season, but look what's happening right now. I mean, we're living through it during COVID-19, and as you mentioned, the vaccines, that's all being spread. And there's even Facebook groups that are anti-vax all across Facebook.
Right.
And Facebook basically, the way they perceive themselves to the public is that they had this under control. But she said that their efforts to remove fake news content on Facebook, from what she tracked, they were only able to remove 10 to 20% of such content off its platforms, which means 80 to 90% of misinformation is still on Facebook.
That's a high percentage.
And another thing she mentioned was that Facebook is basically acting within its own interests because to remove that content, they found that people were less likely to interact. Basically, news or content that made them angry.
Money. That made them money too, you know.
Yeah, exactly. If people aren't interacting on Facebook or not seeing ads, that means less money for them. And so they found that the content that people interacted most with was content that made them feel angry or negative.
Yeah. That's pretty fucking sad.
Yes, it is really sad.
Internet can be really toxic sometimes.
Yes, and so she essentially found that Facebook is harming society.
Right.
And that Facebook is basically showing the darkest parts of humanity. They found that it was more harmful towards girls and women because of their body image perception.
Right.
So it did a lot of like self-harm in terms of even eating disorders and body image, which I'm sure some of us could relate to that.
Yeah, most definitely, I'm sure. Especially with all these Facetunes, filters, and all that stuff. Which, I mean, I've used filters too before. And, I mean, filters are cute and stuff. But, yeah, they do cause insecurities when you're not using it. And also, too, like, when you see people that have, like, these fitness pages. And then they have these certain standards and these certain, like, way their body looks. And one thinks that it's, not all the time, but one thinks that they worked out or something. Sometimes it could be surgeries, and then people are over here listening to these fitness pages, and little do they know this person got surgery. So it's not always the case, but it's saying like when you're on social media, like take everything with like a grain of salt. Like don't see everything that you see on social media and like think that's what it is.
Exactly. And especially with news, I would encourage people to do their research on credible sources, not sources like Fox News, which again, you might be wondering, why are we even mentioning this? It's because with Facebook, she was set to meet with Congress on October 5th. Then the very next day, Fox News releases this story and pushes this story, titling it that the Zodiac Killer has been identified on October 6th. So who benefited, again, from misinformation and fake news?
Or
the
like,
right did.
Or like distracting people, and like the Zodiac Killer case is a huge case. So if it's, like I said, I haven't really heard about the Zodiac case, especially on like news platforms in like how many years, you could say. So this is huge. Even when you sent it to me, I was like, what? This is crazy.
Shocking.
Like, yeah.
So that's the conspiracy, is that Fox News, because they were the first media outlet to push the story and to break this news on October 6th, a day after Frances Hogan met with Congress.
Right.
So people are thinking that Fox News pushed the story as a way, as you mentioned, to distract people or to take away from a really groundbreaking news story. And again, of misinformation being spread on the internet, which was helped by, Fox News and spreading misinformation about the Democrats or the left.
Right. And honestly, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have known that the whole thing with the whistleblower was going on.
Yeah.
I didn't really see it, like the media wasn't covering it that much.
It's just conspiracy on top of conspiracy because, again, how Facebook went out even the day before. And I want to reiterate, these are just conspiracies. It's not confirmed or anything.
Yeah, everything we're saying right now, it's like, take it as you want to take it. But yeah, this was the podcast. We kind of winged it today. It was just a chill Monday. We got into the Zodiac Killer and some conspiracy theories, some of our own experiences. A little different than our usual podcast. We will have some podcasts like these in the future. I hope you enjoyed them. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great night. And if you have like Sophie mentioned, other podcasts, if you have a beer, finish it.
Yeah, and definitely read that Chris Dorner manifesto. Yeah. It's an interesting read. And again, the conspiracies that we mentioned, just for entertainment value. But it's also something to think about. I would say do your research on things that you see on the internet. And as Sam said, take everything with a grain of salt. Make sure you're getting your information from valid sources. And I'm vaccinated, so
just throwing it out there.
Just throwing that out there, guys. Like, take care of yourself. Be safe.